Wow, wow. Well, greetings, greetings, greetings. Good to see you. Those that are tuned in to Facebook Live and or YouTube. It's good to see you, even our friends on Periscope. Thank God for each of you. It is Wednesday night in the Word. And I'm excited about this opportunity to come into your homes, come into your automobiles, wherever you may be. Good to see those that are watching on YouTube, Periscope, Facebook Live. Of course, we honor you and thank you for your time. It's Wednesday in the Word. Before we get into it, you know what we do every time we come together. We believe in hugging. But since we can't physically hug, let's get some cyber hugs. Come on, can we do this? Let's get 8. I believe everybody needs 8. That's 1. Come on, let's do it again. That's 2. Let's do it again. 3. Come on, we got 5 more to go. Come on, I see you, YouTube. 4. Come on, come on, come on. 5. Come on, come on, come on. 6. Let's get 2 more. 2 big ones. 7. I need 1 more real big, real big. It's good to see each of you. Good to see you. It's an honor to be able to come into your homes, wherever you may be, to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm excited because we get an opportunity to study God's word again. And I'm going to dig right back into something that we were in. We're still in this series dealing with Moses. And it's a series entitled Dealing with the Unexpected and how things can change overnight. And so it is. We're in part number 7. We're still dealing in Exodus. And so I'm going to ask you to grab your copy of the Word of the Lord. Turn with us to Exodus chapter 3, verse number 7 and 8. Exodus 3, verse 7 and 8. We're talking about the life of Moses. And we want to go back and look at some things that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. And I really believe it's going to bless you. Exodus 3, verse 7 and 8. Listen to what it says. Then the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and I have heard their cry because of their taskmasters, and I know their sufferings. Verse number 8. And I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land into a good broad land flowing with milk and honey. This is what God says. Unto the place of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Excuse me. Unto that land. All, as I used to hear the older preachers say, all of the Ite brothers. All of the Ite brothers. So look at what he says here. I've come to deliver them. I think a couple of weeks ago we talked about God cares about me. And today I want to put this handle on this particular lesson. And that is this. It's not about me. Come on, it's going to be on the screen for you. It's not about me. I say this because I started this particular lesson some time ago saying if I was to ask anybody who likes being alone, I'd be safe, I believe, in saying probably less than 1% of any crowd would say that they like being alone. Because we're created as relational creatures. Everything that God created, he created to be codependent on something else. Fish need water. Birds need air. Human beings, we need other human beings and we need other things in order to survive. There's a wonderful song out, and I understand the lyrics. I understand what they mean. The song says, as long as I've got King Jesus, I don't need nobody else. While I understand what they meant by that, from a theological perspective, all of us need somebody. We need somebody. And everything that God created was created with a necessity for having somebody like them as a companion. I'm not talking relationship. I understand what Paul says, that is good for some people. He'd rather some be single like himself. I'm not talking relationally as it relates to that particular erotic type love of wanting a companion. But what I am saying is we're to be codependent in some instances on somebody else. There's some things I just can't do. I have 4 sons, but I couldn't have them by myself. I needed somebody else to partner with me in order to make that happen. And there's a medical terminology called monophobia. Monophobia, it's the fear of being alone. Because we like relationship, we like companion. I say this because if you look at this in today's time, Consequently, this is why some people would stay in abusive relationships, because they don't like the idea of being alone. They can't fathom, I could be alone if I leave him or if I leave her. And so consequently, they decide, I'll just stay in this abusive relationship. I know it's not healthy, but I'd rather do that than to be alone. And so some people don't like to be alone, whether it's relationally, emotionally, I'm talking to you, YouTube, financially, spiritually. But here is what I want to say. Whenever God pulls you from the crowd, as he did Abram and told him, I want you to leave your father's house, as he did with John in Revelations, as we see he's done with Moses, anytime God pulls us away, he puts us in what I call isolation. And I know it sounds cliche-ish, but it's a true statement. Isolation is just preparation for elevation. Anytime God isolates you, it's because he's trying to prepare you for the next move, the next level, what he has in store for you and for you on the next level. Do you understand what I'm saying? So he prepares us in isolation. Think about it this way. Eagles don't live in isolation. They need other eagles. They need others of like mind. But when they fly in isolation. So we have to be comfortable with God isolating us, particularly when we know it's for a purpose and it's for a reason. In the text, God has already told Moses his destiny. And if you read verse number 4, God appears to him from the burning bush. He lets him know what he wants to do. And then God begins to speak to him as he's watching the bush. I said this last week, and that is, God wants our undivided attention. He got Moses' attention because the bush is burning, but the bush is not consumed. And so Moses is watching it. Think about this. We're in the desert. It's hot, blistering heat. The wind is blowing. So the fire is contained to one area when you know that it should have spread it out by now. And so God has his undivided attention. He uses so many different means and so many different methods to get our attention. And now that he's got Moses' attention, he begins to speak to him. Can I give us the kingdom nugget? And this is the preface for the lesson tonight. Here it is. Write it down. Where you stare, you will steer. Come on, it should be on the screen. Where you stare, you will steer. What do you mean, Pastor Ian? Whatever I give my attention to, whatever I look at, that's the direction in which it's going to pull me emotionally. If I look at the negative side of anything too long, I'll start going that way in my mind. From an emotional standpoint, if I look at a negative medical report too long, I'll start believing what I see. If I look at a negative bank account, if I look at an NSF on my statement, and now y'all gonna sit in there like you've never seen an NSF. Come on, be honest, be honest. Come on, be honest, let's talk. If I look at an NSF, eventually I'll start writing checks or making transactions or decisions financially based off of that. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't be cautious. What I am saying is, yes, I should be a good steward. Yes, I should have a budget. Yes, but I'm not going to look at that and be afraid. I'm going to make the necessary financial adjustments, but I'm not going to be afraid because I'm not going to give that all of my attention. I know whatever I give my attention to, whatever gets in my ear gate, my eye gate, my nose gate, my mouth, anything that I stare at long enough, my emotions shift that way. So here it is, wherever you stare, that's where you steer. The devil wants our mind. I want to tell somebody this. I'm telling you, the enemy is after our minds. He knows if I can put something negative in your mind long enough, you'll start thinking negative. You'll start responding negative. You'll start acting negative. But I came to tell somebody, whatever you stare at, that's what you steer. That's the way you steer. So we need to stare at positive things. Stare at financial peace. Stare at divine healing. Stare at God's word and everything that it says I can have. Are y'all with me tonight? So whatever I stare at, that's where I steer. Look at what he says in verse 5. He says to him, Moses, don't come near, but take your sandals off. For the place where you're standing is holy ground. Think about this. He says this because Moses' sandals represent his job, his occupation. He was a sheep herder. It represents where he was, where he had been. Think about this. He comes in with his sandals because he had just finished the task of herding his father-in-law's sheep. So God tells him, I know what your sandals represent. I know where you have been. But now that you're in my presence and you're on holy ground, take your shoes off. Because on holy ground, your feet look like the drug dealer's feet. Somebody missed that. On holy ground, the prostitute's feet look like the church mother's feet. There's no difference. When we on holy ground, all of our feet look the same. You can't wear your habit. You can't wear your clergy collar and think that it covers up everything in his presence. His presence shows us or magnifies where we are, and God is not concerned about what your occupation was or what you used to do. Come on, here's principle number 1. Write it down. Where you have been is not as important as where you're going. I'm going to leave that on the screen. Leave it up there. That's what God is trying to tell us. Where you have been is not as important as where you are going. So take your shoes off. Somebody need to take your shoes off in your mind. Take it off. Somebody need to remove a negative Facebook post or a status. That's your boo. That's your babe from 5 years ago. Take it off. That relationship didn't work then. Take it off. Because that doesn't matter. What happened then has no governing authority over where God is going to take you in your future. So look at what he's telling him. Where you are is holy ground. Let me give it to you this way. When Moses sees the bush burning, he's not in church. What COVID-19 has taught us is church is not a building, but church is wherever I am. Holy ground is wherever I am. Can I tell somebody? Holy ground might be your kitchen. Holy ground might be your living room. Holy ground might be your bedroom. Holy ground might be your bathroom. Wherever you are, on the job, in the cubicle, it's holy ground wherever God's presence is. Woo. He tells him, take your shoes off, because when all of this is over, you're still going to need God. Let me say it this way. Why would you tell him or show him yourself, a different side of yourself, God, outside of church? It lets me know, it gives the implication that we're going to need God even when the doors are closed. Some of us, if we be honest, come on, I need you to type it in there. If you be honest, you know you didn't find God in Bible study. Some of us didn't find God in BTU, in UTB, in YPWW. I didn't find him in Sunday school. Somebody may have found him in a jail cell. You may have found him coming out of the crack house, getting out of the wrong bed. What God says is, even if you can't find me in church, and guess where he is? Listen, if you don't find him there, wherever is holy ground or wherever he come to meet you, that's what he would do. And this text is tailored to teach us, you don't have to be in a building. God will come where you are. So here's what God says. Now that you're in the right place, now that you have the right posture, I have your attention. Think about this. This is important. You can be in the right place and not have the right posture. You can be in church, but your mind be on something else. I think it was the OJs, I believe it was, that said, your body's here with me, but your mind is on the other side of town. I don't know if it was the OJs or the Isaac brothers. Come on, somebody type it in there. Help me out. He says, your body's here. They say your body's here with me, but your mind is on the other side of town. God says, now that you're in the right place and you have the right posture, which means I'm in the right place and my mind is focused on God. He has my undivided attention. Somebody shout that out. Undivided attention. He has my undivided attention. God says, now that you're in the right place and have the right posture, I'm going to talk. So he tells Moses, I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Think about what he says. I'm the God of your past, I'm the God of your present, and I'm the God of your future. He tells him this in verse number 6. I am the God of Abraham, your past. I'm the God of Isaac, your present, and I'm the God of Jacob, your future. He's telling him this. Can I give us a kingdom shout? Here it is. What you and I need is a mirror and a memory. Lord have mercy. He's giving Moses a mirror, but also challenging him to look at his memory, use his memory. Why a mirror and a memory? A mirror shows me where I am now, what I look like now. It shows me how far God has brought me. And some of us that are looking at me, you don't look like what you've been through. God help me to talk. You don't look like it. Some people thought you was going to lose your mind through the last thing you came out of. Some of us, you weren't born with a silver spoon in your hand. But you had to work and claw and climb your way all the way to where you are. So you don't look like what you've been through. You don't smell like it. You don't act like it. You're not mad at anybody. You're not upset because the last one didn't work out. You're not mad because the last job fired you. In other words, as a matter of fact, in actuality, some of us are better off now than we were then. And here's what he tells him. You need a mirror. Look at it. All of us, we need a mirror. Every now and then you ought to walk in the mirror and just look at yourself. Man, God has done some amazing things in my life. Man, God has brought me a mighty long way. Man, I should have been dead. My mind should be gone. But because I look as good as I do, I can't give nobody the credit but God. And you need a memory. Here it is. So every now and then, you need to be able to take a walk down memory lane. I used to do this. When they responded that way, I would always respond this way. But since God has come into my life, I'm talking to somebody. You know by now you would have cussed them out, cussed their mama out. You know by now you'd have got on Facebook, put some subliminal posts. But you know yourself, you've matured. All you need is a mirror to see how good you look now, and your memory to see how far God has brought you. He tells him in verse number 7, listen to this. Then the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt. I heard their cry because of their hard taskmasters. Here it is. I know their sufferings. In verse number 8, God says, I've come down to deliver them out of the hand. Can I say this to somebody? He's the God that sees. He's the God that hears. And he's the God that will show up. The children of Israel didn't know when God was going to show up. But let me give us a kingdom thought as I end right here. What God is showing Moses, I'm going to use you to deliver my people. In other words, Moses, it's really not about you. Lord have mercy. He says, it's really not about you. Look at it. It's on the screen. It's really not about you. You made everything you've gone through about you. But I want you to understand, it's not about you. It's about the people, my people, that I have heard, I have seen, and I'm about to show up on their behalf. I just want to tell somebody, everything you've gone through, it's not even about you. Everything you've been through, it's really not about you. God used what you went through. He used what you went through to help you so that you can be the one to deliver his people. I hope y'all receive that word. I'm going to say it again. I hope you receive that word. It's really not about me, but God is going to use me to deliver somebody else. Listen, I love you. I want to pray for you. I don't know where you are spiritually. I don't know where you are. But this is an opportunity for us to pray. I believe God for healing. I'm believing God for financial breakthrough. I'm believing God for salvation, number one. Whatever's going on in your life, I'm believing God that change is going to come and take place. I want you to do this with me. If you're not saved, come on, repeat this prayer after me. Father, I thank you for sending your son to die on the cross for my sins. Come on, say this with me. I believe your son came. He hung on a tree. He died. He stayed in the grave 3 days. But on the third day, he got up for me. And I believe that he's seated at your right hand forevermore. Come on, say this with me. Satan, you have no authority in my life. I put you out of my mind. I put you out of my body. I put you out of my emotions. I put you out of my thinking. Come on, say this with me. God, create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit within me. I believe, my brother, my sister, if you prayed that prayer by faith, you are saved, and I welcome you into the family of God. I need you to find a good Bible teaching, Bible preaching church. Get there. Connect with a group of believers, and let's watch God develop and nurture you into the right way. I love you. Listen, we're getting ready to go. But as we prepare to shift, I want to say this. If you're not a tither, you should be a tither. Your local church needs your resources. Your local church needs your seed. It's an opportunity for you. Listen at this. Wherever you go to church, where you may be watching, your tithe belongs to your local church where you're primarily being fed. Support that ministry. Your seeds bring honor to God. What my seed says, I'm disciplined enough, God. I don't just give during a pandemic, but I give before a pandemic. I give during a pandemic, and I'm going to give when it's over, because if it had not been for you. So my seed honors God. Proverbs tells us we ought to honor God with our substance and with the first fruit of our increase. So I want to give you an opportunity. It's on the screen. Those of you that are giving, there's several ways you can do it on Givelify, Text to Give, Cash App, whatever method is best for you, do that. For those of you that are tech savvy, you can text KBMG to 54244. That's KBMG to 54244, and you can give that way. Whatever amount you would like to give. Thank you for those that are giving, that have faithfully and consistently put God first, and also remember the local church. I thank you so much. I want you to know that's one less burden. But you've afforded us the opportunity to do so many things outside of the walls as it relates to taking care of ministerial needs. And I'm grateful to God for every seed that you sow into this ministry. It's on the screen for those that would like to give. Whatever seed you would like to, you can do that at this time. Also, I want to say for those, we celebrated 5 years 2 weeks ago. That's right, 5 years in ministry. We're graced to produce. And we're believing, God, that this is still our year of productivity. And for those that said, Pastor Ian, I didn't have it then, but I want to be able to sow into that. You can use those methods that's there. And in the memo, just put, I got 5 on it. Just put 5 on it. And they will direct that toward our church anniversary. Thank you so much in advance for the seeds that you're sowing. It's an honor. We do want to recognize KBB blessed me with recipient this past Sunday. It was Mother Ann Baker. That's right. Mother Ann Baker was our KBB blessed me recipient this past Sunday of $50. And on tonight, every Wednesday, we get the privilege and the honor of blessing one of our healthcare professionals. And we thank God for Miss Sturdivant. I don't want to chop the first name up. It'll be on the screen. Kinyaiara. Sturdivant. I can't mess that up. To Miss Sturdivant, I understand she's a nurse assistant at UAB. That's right. She's a nurse assistant at the University Hospital. Kinyaiara. Miss Sturdivant, it's your time. We are afforded and privileged to be able to give you. You're our healthcare first responder recipient of $25 gas card and lunch on KBB. That's right. We get to honor you. I want you to do me a favor. Nominate somebody, if you will. I'm talking to you. Nominate somebody, whomever it may be. I want you to nominate them. We want to bless somebody with the gas card and with lunch on KBB every Wednesday night. One of our healthcare professionals and first responders. So if you would take time, do that. You can nominate them via Facebook, DM, Kingdom Builders, or you can text that information to 205-862-8970, 862-8970, or you can email that to kingdombuilders205@gmail.com. I love you. I'm praying for you. Tune in this Sunday, 8:55 a.m. to the Kingdom Experience. That's right. This Sunday morning, I'm believing God is going to speak to our hearts on this Sunday. It's going to be a blessing. I love you. I'm praying for you. And until tomorrow morning, tune in Thursday. That's right. For the midday motivation, it will bless your life. I love you. I'm Pastor Milton Wren Jr., and let's keep on building. Be blessed.